Hello and welcome to another video, and today is finally the big day. Today is the day that I'm doing first impressions of Starfield, the extremely long-awaited new game from Bethesda Studios. The big Xbox exclusive that we've all been waiting for. One of the most hyped, some may say overhyped games of all time. It's finally here. I've been playing it since early access release on August 31st, I believe it was. I have initially talked about my impressions of it on podcast 572. So if you haven't listened to that yet, you can always go listen to my very first impressions of the game there. But right now, as it stands for this video, I've put about 35 hours into the game. I'm super not comfortable like giving the game a full review at this point, but I can at least talk to you about what Starfield is, what I think it does well, what I think it doesn't do well, and my overall opinion on Starfield, like if you should play it or if you should pass on it. So I'm gonna make a bold statement at the top of this video. I mean, you can probably figure out just by my demeanor that I think Starfield's pretty good. I actually think it's great. And I am going to make the bold statement right now that this game, for me personally, is my favorite exclusive console game that has released this generation thus far. And that is against PS5 and the Xbox, which, let's be fair, there hasn't really been much on the Xbox outside of Halo Infinite and, a Forza game. So there hasn't been a lot here for that system. And, on PlayStation, we've had some exclusives as well, but this is the one that has captured me the most immediately and has kept me the longest. But I also think the more I play, the more I fall in love with the game, the more that I enjoy my time with it as I spend more time playing the game. Whereas I can't really say the same about pretty much any other exclusive that's come out for these systems. So I also still, 3 years into this generation, think that we really haven't had a lot of huge exclusives. I mean, think about it. We've had God of War, Ragnarok, which I was lukewarm on, Horizon Forbidden West, which is a good game. It's a good sequel to Horizon, but I think the original was better. You had some bangers at the beginning of the PlayStation 5 generation here in the Demon's Souls remake, which is a fantastic launch game, and Miles Morales, which is also fantastic. And I'll be honest, in another month here, I might be saying something completely different when I play Spider-Man 2. But for right now, this is that good of a video game for me. And it stems from, this is what I'm looking for a video game. This is what I want out of a video game. This is the first new Bethesda game that they've made. We're not counting, Fallout. We're not counting Elder Scrolls. This is the first new franchise that they're trying to launch in a long fucking time, and it's great. It's shocking how good the game actually is. It's not without faults. It's not without issues. It is not a perfect game. So no, I don't believe any game is perfect, but it is not a perfect game. It does have some problems. We're going to discuss the problems, at least that I've faced today. But overall, I'm having such a good time with it that it is the thing that it's what video games should be, right? Like, I get sucked into it. I might sit down and be like, I'm going to play an hour, and 4 hours go by. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't mean to play 4 hours of this game, but I did. That's how good Starfield is. Without further ado, let's get into Starfield. So, Starfield is Bethesda's new RPG, right? This is their new quote-unquote franchise. This will become a franchise. It's already been hugely successful. For the most part, reviews have been very positive, with the two outlier reviews being IGN and GameSpot, which both gave the game a 7 out of 10, which the scores don't match up with the actual reviews, like if you read them. So I really think those two outlets gave it a lower score for clicks. I really do, because it's weird to me that the two biggest outlets would give a lower score than everything else, and everything else is like 9s. So it's bizarre, because the game ended up at, I think, an 87 Metacritic overall, which You know, obviously Microsoft is shooting for a 90. They didn't quite hit it, but you know what? Whatever. That's review scores. Let's just fucking talk about the game. So, first thing I'll say is, like, if you're looking for that immediate moment, like a typical Bethesda game, like walking out of the prison in Oblivion, which is one of my favorite gaming moments of all time. You know, getting to run around the world of Skyrim. The opening minutes of Fallout, walking around that world, even Fallout 3 or Fallout 4. This game doesn't really do that as well. It's more of a gradual build. I'd also say, like, the intro mission that gets you into the game is arguably one of Bethesda's weakest. It doesn't really set up a lot. You're kind of just thrown into the shit, so to speak, and then you meet this character. You get a spaceship within like 10 minutes of the game starting, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're off into space, and you could go here, you know, after a little bit, or you can kind of go wherever. And that's one part of it that's really, really awesome. And you start to learn as you play, oh wow, this game actually is really, really big, and it doesn't have that immediate impact, but the more you play, the more it kind of sinks in. You're like, this game is way bigger than I would have ever anticipated. I mean, you can literally land on pretty much any planet that you see in this game. Because when I first started the game, I thought, oh, it's gonna be like the Mass Effect thing where it's like you go to a specific solar system and you can land on these couple planets, but these other ones, you can just scan them for resources, but that's it. No, you can land on pretty much any fucking planet. With that being said, some of the planets are more detailed than others, but it doesn't take away from the impact of how big this game is. And I've heard a lot, the biggest complaints I've heard about the game, a lot of people talk about, it's a loading screen simulator. There are a lot of load screens in this game, but they are short. They're not long. Like, again, guys, we're on an SSD now. We're not on the original, you know, fucking mechanical drives that were in the Xbox One or the PS4. This is an SSD. It runs very fast. So the complaint about too many load screens is not really a big deal when load screens don't take very long. I would complain here if it was 2017 and I was playing this on a 1X. Then I could understand the argument. Second argument I've heard of, I think, is valid on the game, which is the map system. I'll be honest, it's clunky as shit. Bethesda usually is pretty good at making maps, especially for Oblivion, for Skyrim. Fallout is okay. This game, the map for the solar system and traveling between planets is fine. It's great. But the local map is fucking terrible. And again, these are things that Bethesda will retool over time, and also the mod community has already made some fantastic mods for the game. They're already working on a star UI, kind of like Skyrim has the sky UI. So they're fixing those problems, like between modders and Bethesda, but I will admit that the map is not, it's clunky as shit. The way you travel between planets is clunky. There's a little learning curve, and once you kind of figure out how that works, you're fine. But it's not, and the biggest thing I can say about the game is, if you go into this game expecting it to be the next Bethesda Studios RPG, you're going to be golden. You're going to have a great time. If you go into this game expecting this game to be No Man's Sky 2, you're going to be very disappointed, because it's not that game. You do not get to descend through the atmosphere of planets. It's a load screen. That personally doesn't bother me. But a lot of people apparently, even though Bethesda said a long time ago it wasn't going to be like that, a lot of people were really fucking pissed off about that. I don't know why. So it doesn't break immersion for me. Like, I've seen some people like, oh, it breaks my immersion of the game. It's fine. I'll say this too, like, they had id Software, because why wouldn't you? id Software's part of Bethesda. They had id Software step in and help with the shooting. It really shows. Shooting is really good in this game. I think a lot of people that like Fallout might have a little bit hard of a time because there's no VATS system, but it's good. It plays very, very well. We'll talk about the other big elephant in the room that, I'll be honest, was a big elephant until the game released, and no one's talking about it because it's not an elephant anymore. That is, of course, the Xbox Series X runs this game at 30 frames. And I'll be honest, it's not a big deal. Like, so when I started Starfield, I sat down, I created my character, and I started it on PC. And because I wanted to dive into the character creator, there was a specific character I was looking to make. So I sat, and probably my first like hour and a half was me fine-tuning how the character looked. The character creator is really, really well done in this game. Best they've ever made. And so I have played it at that higher frame rate, you know, because my PC can handle it. But look, man, between you and I work a desk job for 8 hours a day. I don't want to be sitting in front of a computer confined to it for an additional 5 to 6 hours at most after work playing a fucking video game. I'd rather sit on my couch behind me playing on this TV right here or on my OLED in the other room and enjoy the game the way it's intended to be enjoyed, which is, you know, that way. So I have pretty much put, of the 35 hours, 33 of them have been on the Series X. Between this Xbox in this office and between my other system out there, my Xbox Series X out there. So both of these Series X's, and I'll also say, like, the Play Anywhere stuff for this game is fantastic. It works great because we're on SSDs now. It doesn't take forever to sync. I'm the kind of person that saves over and over and over again, so I have like 150 saves at this point. It does take a little bit, but it's not like being on a mechanical drive, so it's not that big of a deal. Flawless. The 30 frames, you don't even notice it. I would say it's the same as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You are so overwhelmed by what you're doing in the game that you just fucking turn your brain off and forget about it. So the only time it becomes a little jarring is if you are coming off of a game that is 60 frames. So, like, for example, let's say I go and I play some Diablo 4 with a friend, because I'm still playing a lot of Diablo 4. That game runs at 60 frames. You jump into Starfield, it's a little jarring for like 20 minutes, and then your eyes adjust to it and you're fine. But the 30 frames thing, it's not a big deal. And nobody's really talking about it. People, for the most part, talking about how fucking good the game is and how much they're having fun with it. So, and that's what's important at the end of the day. I think the game is a wild success. I like exploring the planets. Visually, I think the game is pretty stunning. There are some parts of it, you know, if you get really close to an NPC that's just walking around on a planet, they don't look great. But you know what? They're not supposed to. They're background people. You know, they're there to fill the world and make it look bigger than it really is. But like the main NPCs, their facial animations, you know, when you're talking to them in a cutscene, that looks fucking fantastic and the best that Bethesda has shown. This is also running officially on the Creation Engine 2.0. It shows that they took the time to go underground, build out that engine, and then put it on this game. Or put this game on that engine, I should say. And like, it really shows. I have to imagine that if this game had not been delayed, and I think, and again, this is just me spitballing, but I would imagine Todd Howard probably went to Phil Spencer last August or September, whenever that was, when they decided to delay the game and said, look, if you give us the time, we're going to deliver our most polished experience we've ever had. And they probably looked at, like, otherwise these reviews would have come out, the game would have been 7s. The IGN and GameSpot reviews probably would have been a 5. And you'd be looking at, like, what, a 67 on Metacritic? That's bad. So I think the extra year really helped, because I'll be honest, this game launched, this is the most polished at launch Bethesda studio game that they've ever released. And it shows in spades. Another big thing I want to kind of approach and mention here that I don't see a lot of people talking about in their reviews is the musical score in this game is fantastic. It kind of takes the best elements of like Star Wars and Star Trek and molds them together. Any kind of space thing that you've ever watched, any sci-fi you've ever watched, it has this very good feel to it as you're playing it. It's matched and encapsulated perfectly. I also really do like how spaceships work, how you can fly around. Space combat works extremely well. Upgrading your ship does seem a little clunky at first, but the more you start doing it, the more you realize, okay, this is what they were going for. I think, again, where Bethesda always shines is in their writing, and I think the characters, the followers you can have in this game, some of the best writing I've seen in a while in a video game. I think one of the biggest things, if you look at the achievement rarity for this game, it's very rare to see people that have finished the main story, and it's easy to point out why, because you get into the game, it's total immersion, right? Like you're walking down a street or something, you hear two people talking about something, next thing you know, boom, that's a mission that you can go do. And there's a lot of that in this game, so it opens up these different missions and activities, and you know, you can go and do something like that for 3 hours, you know, and it just adds to your time with the game. There's so much to it. It's really truly incredible. You know, I know the comparisons also fly around on another big game this year, which I have not personally played yet. I plan to when it comes out on the Xbox later this year, but Baldur's Gate 3 is also getting praise for like its level of immersion and story writing, as well as just being a very complete game. And I think Starfield deserves the same credit here. This is a very complete package. At least it feels that way right now. So, I really don't have much else negative to say about Starfield. Like, I have been sitting on making this video for a couple days now, because every time I'm like, I want to play a little more. I want to play a little more. And that's kind of what it's been for me. So, Starfield, it's great. And it's great anywhere I've played it. Like, if you're a PC person and your PC can run it, play it there. You know, if you're an Xbox Series X or even Series S, I hear it actually runs pretty well. Play it there. But it's on Game Pass. You really can't go wrong. I do also think this is the first time a Game Pass title is worth the price. Like, if you were like, I don't really believe in Game Pass, I like to buy my games, I think this game is a great product at the price point it's at, which is hard for me to say with a lot of Game Pass releases. So anyways, those are my first impressions of Starfield. I really am enjoying my time with it. Again, the way that I do things on the channel right now, I don't know if I'll do a full review of it here. Maybe down the road on Podcast 572, I might give this thing a score. Or down the road, I might even do a short or something and give it a score at that point. But I'm enjoying my time tremendously with it. I think it is the best console exclusive of this generation thus far. I think it is the best Xbox game of this generation thus far. And it is totally worth your time if you are into this type of game. And I would highly implore you, if you're on the fence, just, you know what, do Game Pass for a month and try it. It's that good. Anyways, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time.